Hello out there, everybody. Manny here at Area 503. And I hope you all have been well since our last video.
Today I have a huge announcement for you all, and I also have some news about live stream appearances. But first, the big news. I am proud to announce to you all that I am nearing the completion of the documentary that I have been producing about Lue Elizondo that is titled, Who's Lue?
On October 14th, 2017, Luis Lue Daniel Elizondo IV stepped on stage in Seattle, Washington, announcing to the world that the UFO phenomenon was real.
It was in this position I learned that the phenomenon is indeed real.
Lue would instantly rise to the top of the UFO subculture, being backed by a global media campaign labeling him as a Pentagon UFO whistleblower. Previous to this day, no one outside of the military intelligence community, a few politicians, and a close-knit circle of defense industry contractors had ever heard of the name Lue Elizondo. Very little is known about Mr. Elizondo beyond the biography that is listed on his website at luiselizondoofficial.com. There remain to this day some very serious and alarming unanswered questions about Lue, his background, and his claims. Every piece of evidence obtained in the making of this documentary was located during a thorough search of public records available on the internet. While such information is considered public, I have gone to great lengths to protect the privacy of every individual mentioned in this piece, while only including information that is entirely relevant in an attempt to answer the question of, who's Lue?
During my short tenure in the U.S. Army, I had the honor and privilege to serve in various assignments. As a counterintelligence special agent, I was assigned to the Republic of Korea, South Korea, and later throughout America's Southwest. As a young agent, I conducted counter-espionage investigations, provided technology protection of advanced aerospace systems and platforms, supported the U.S.-Russia treaties, Open Skies and START II, and conducted routine security background investigations. Shortly thereafter, I was recruited into a special activities program with the Department of the Army. This led me to new assignments throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. As an intelligence operations officer, my responsibilities included oversight of sensitive source operations, counterinsurgency missions, and support to counter narcotics.
Also, the mailing address for Lue and Jennifer in Puerto Rico was a 15-minute drive away from Fort Buchanan, leading me to believe that whatever Lue was doing was associated with the base. While the biography from Luis Elizondo Official during that time frame reads like some sort of super soldier intelligence agent fictional novel of the caliber of Ian Fleming, the public records of Lue Elizondo show a life that is much more ordinary and interesting. If you Google the term ATIP, you will see that there are thousands of news articles about the program. Most of these articles refer to Lue as the Pentagon's UFO top dog or the Pentagon UFO whistleblower. However, you will notice that the vast majority of these articles are sourced solely on statements made by Lue himself or point back to the original TTSA press release.
Hello, I'm Tom DeLong, and thanks for joining us live today.
Or George Knapp's article and broadcast later that day, with zero supporting evidence of fact. All of these articles pass the research and verification aspect of this story on to the original authors, TTSA and Lue Elizondo, in some sort of strange journalistic version of passing the research buck in a circle while perpetuating a UFO whistleblower narrative which all came back to Lue Elizondo and his word.
Known as UFOs.
What about those UFO videos? Well, remember the UFO videos?
UFOs, unknown technology.
UFO study.
UFOs, UFO videos, UFO incidents,
The UFO, 24 UFO videos are official UFO videos.
UFO encounters, other UFOs.
Oh,
It's always so fascinating.
Yeah.
Thanks, George.
But before we talk about TTSA, we need to talk about exactly how and when Lue resigned from the military, and exactly what he was up to in the final months leading up to his resignation. There are some very important details that we need to cover. Listen to this clip where Lue is talking with John Greenwald about when he first left the Pentagon and joined TTSA in October 2017.
As far as meeting Tom DeLonge, it wasn't until afterwards. Actually, once I resigned is when I was approached to say, hey, Lue, there's this little organization over here led by some guy, some rock star, which by we met now, don't hold me to it, but I mean, we're going back 3 years now.
Sure.
I'm pretty certain it was Jim who actually was the one to offer me a position.
Pre-resignation or post, just for chronological?
No, post.
Post,
no,
gotcha.
Post.
I gotcha.
Lue has publicly stated that he had never heard of or met Tom DeLonge and that he had not been extended an opportunity to work with TTSA before he resigned from the Pentagon. However, I find that extremely hard to believe for a few reasons. First, Tom DeLonge admitted himself that he and his colleagues at TTSA had been discussing Lue Elizondo for months before he joined the company.
I want to take a second here. Months ago, I had some very important people from inside the government talking about somebody that one day I would possibly be able to meet.
Additionally, in early 2017, Tom DeLonge teased the upcoming TTSA release while he was receiving an award from Open Minds TV.
I'm into some serious shit, and I'm making really good progress. I can't tell you what I'm about to announce. If you look at my social media, at least on my Instagram, you'll see that I said there's going to be an announcement in within the next 60-ish days.
For whatever reason, on December 20th, 2020, Lue Elizondo announced that he was officially leaving to the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences. But just like in every other part of Lue's life, he never quits one relationship or job until he has another one strategized, planned, and underway. 3 months before Lue resigned from the TTSA, Lue Elizondo began the first stages of his Plan B and joined Twitter in August 2020. Specifically, he would target a group of sincere UFO and extraterrestrial truth seekers that were bound by a hashtag, UFO Twitter. Lue would join their ranks, making the following promises. 1. I will always tell you the truth. 2. I will own my mistakes and hold myself accountable. 3. Everyone will be treated with respect, no matter their position. 4. Abuse or hatred towards others will not be tolerated. 5. I will always push for full disclosure.
I think, there are a lot of, as I said before, hucksters and fraudsters out there, and it's coming to light. And, there's some savvy investigators now that are hot on the trail of some of these individuals who spent the last several years, if not decades, defrauding people. And, all I got to say is, sucks to be you. You shouldn't have done that. Shame on you.
That's right, I still got a few final bells and whistles to put on the project, but then this puppy's going to be done. However, I have still not received a response from Mr. Elizondo to my request for an interview, so I'm going to give Lue just a little bit more time to get back to me, and if he chooses to continue to ignore my requests, I guess I'll just have to publish the documentary without his input, and that would be a damned shame. This whole project is about Lue Elizondo, and Lue refuses to acknowledge my requests or to take part for some reason. I mean, in my opinion, the only people who hide have something to hide. But Lue is claimed to be a straight shooter with an impeccable record, so I find it hard to imagine why someone like little old me would frighten mighty old UFO Lue. But for some reason, Lue continues to refuse to acknowledge me directly, while his fans or him on a sock puppet account continue to try to dissuade me from my goal with threats of lawsuits, baseless allegations, and the same tired old Lue rhetoric that I've come to know the last few years. In any case, as I said before, if Lue continues to ignore my requests, I guess I'll just have to publish the thing and we can all figure out, together, the answer to the question of, who's Lue?
That the phenomena is indeed real.
And now on to something far more entertaining than woohoo for profit Elizondo. I'll be making a spat of live stream appearances to promote the documentary in the next few weeks before the release of Who's Lue. So if you all want a chance to catch your boy Manny on some UFO talk shows, this'll be your chance. I'll be posting community announcements before each live stream, so check your notifications if you want to be updated. Or head over to the Area 503 main page and check the community tab for the most current information. I'm happy to have the time to get to do some of these live stream appearances, and I hope to see that a few of you can make it to the shows. In fact, I was just recently on the Truthseekers show with Stephen Cambian, where we showed a few clips from the upcoming documentary, and we spoke about the project and Lue Elizondo. Here are a few clips from the live stream.
Sorry, there we have it, friends, an exclusive first peek at the new documentary film by Manny from Area 503, titled Who's Lue? And I gotta tell you, I am already interested in seeing the entire thing. And I can't wait to see what other little bits of information this film is going to include. I know that the filmmaker has been hard at work on this thing for quite some time, trying to find every bit of information that he could to answer the question, who's Lue? And in another Truthseekers exclusive, we have the filmmaker himself here, Manny from Area 503. Welcome, Manny.
Hello, everybody.
I want to thank you for giving us the first crack at this, to see a good chunk of this, because you ask a lot of interesting questions in this, and there's a lot of things that just don't make sense about this man, in my view.
Yeah, you know, one of the quotes that I used in the promo there, you'll hear in the movie, is that there's unanswered questions and contradictions around Lue, and that's really what it comes down to is, when are we ever going to get an answer to these questions, and how long can we wait before we say they're never going to come, and we just move on and say the guy's just not going to explain himself. He's just going to do what he wants to do, and, you know, you can either, as he puts it, get on board the train or get off. But
I guess, you know, like he's very up on doing interviews for very friendly people that are sort of fans. Do you know what I mean? And it seems like I have yet to see one hardball interview of him in years now. Like, I, for one, would like to know why nobody asks him where the TTSA money went and his involvement with them. They promised us a spaceship. He was in that organization when they promised investors a spaceship. We haven't seen a spaceship. Nobody knows. $34 million. Pretty much vanished, right? I don't know. Why is it, do you think, that it just seems that this is like a carefully crafted media narrative, right?
That's kind of my feeling, and that's what it feels like. You know, when you have a one-sided narrative and, you know, it's just shoved down your throat everywhere you look, it kind of, it overwhelms any contradictory statements from people or questions. When people say, hey, you know, what's going on here? It overwhelms you, you know, because for every guy like me who's going to question his story, there's 1,000 people out there who will just accept it and repeat it and retweet it and, you know, go on and have the guy on his lives on their streams and let him say whatever he wants. But I have yet to really see anybody hold him to task as far as having him prove anything. You know, he hasn't shown his DD, you know, 214. I saw somebody in the chat had asked about that. So far as I know, other people, including myself, have filed for it and just not received them. But that was something I wanted to get for this film. Unfortunately, the office that processes those forms was at a marginal amount of capacity because of the recent pandemic and whatnot. So they were only processing emergency requests, which I understand. So at some point I'll get it, maybe, or they'll tell me they won't give it to me. But I'll get an answer.
I think it is a little confusing.
Oh, it's extremely confusing. Yeah, I mean, especially like if you separate the question of ATIP from who's Lue completely, which I tried to do in this film, and I have to talk about ATIP a little bit, but that literally could be its own documentary on its own. It doesn't, that whole issue is just so clouded with lies and misinformation and partial truths and just everything. So it's hard to really
I can't understand why we can't get a straight answer. It's like, I ran the program. The Pentagon says, no, you didn't. I was in the program. The Pentagon says, no, you weren't, or you had no responsibility. Then they said, yes, you did. And then we have this book with George Knapp, and we find out that the ATIP program that he claimed was funded to the tune of 20-something million had no funding. And that was another program that really got that funding. And it's like never a straight answer. We get this circle of like obfuscation. It seems like, and like you said, misinformation, disinformation. It's like they're trying on purpose to cloud the waters, to muddy the waters somehow.
They are, and meanwhile,
I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Andy Kurtz, for a kind and generous $4.99 super chat. Love, Stephen and Truthseekers family. Thank you, Andy Kurtz, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. We appreciate that. We're a viewer-supported show. So, how long is the finished documentary? You're still tweaking the final for. I know that, but
yeah, I've requested to, like you said, I requested that Lue would be interviewed for this because there's a lot of information in here that I would honestly prefer to leave out of the documentary. If he can exclude himself from it or say, yeah, that isn't me, or no, that's not right, or whatever, I would love to give him that chance because I don't want to put this out. If there's information in there that's going to make the dang guy, like personal information that's going to make him look bad or embarrass him, that's not what this is about. But this is about proving, as I said in the promo, the contradictory nature between what he says and what the records show, and so we really in this are just looking at the records. We're isolating the stories because those are just stories, and we're looking at the facts.
I've been fascinated with his ability to make claims and then scurry away when people ask for proof of the claims that he makes. So far we've got him saying that there was crash retrievals and they have, portions of crash retrievals, and even up to saying that they have biological samples. But again, when pressed for proof, he doesn't have any proof of any of the stuff that he's claiming. I guess we're supposed to just believe based on his, his own claims or his reported history running these programs, and I don't buy it if you don't have some kind of backup for the claims as well.
Yeah.
And also,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He rubber stamped the approval, right, of getting some of these videos out of the Pentagon, and then he profited from those videos for the next bunch of years. So that's problematic for me. And I want to thank Lee Guy for a kind of generous $4.99 saying Lue Kardashian. Yeah, it becomes like a soap opera for some, doesn't it, Manny? Like it's like a soap opera. Like what did Lue say this week? There's new promises too that he's going to have this book and it's going to have never before heard revelations in it. It's going to have a bombshell in it, and and again, I'm setting up myself for. I'll buy the book. But
I'm sure it will.
Set myself up for a nothing burger because you're right. It's had 4 years. Why would he wait? What was he waiting for a book deal? To tell us.
No, I mean, if you want a Whopper, go buy a book by Dean Koontz or Stephen King. If you want to, the guy's not creative and he's not going to come up with some cool story. It'll be some BS. It'll read like The Day After Roswell, like by Colonel Corso. It'll be every UFO rumor that he ever heard in the military, but he was there. And that's just what the guy does, man. He puts himself in the middle of it all because of, I don't know, ego. I don't know. I mean, why would a career intelligence officer quit the Pentagon and throw his pension away 3 years before he could retire and then go with TTSA? He's probably going to make more money. He's definitely got more fame now. He's not just going to retire into obscurity and be some intelligence guy who hangs around Langley and talks with people. And, like, although that, nothing wrong with that. That sounds like a cool life to me, man. I'd like to hang around Langley and talk to people. Like, hang out at the water cooler and listen to all the BS and the rumors, man. Are you freaking kidding me? But, I think he really didn't want to just disappear into obscurity, so he made his play. And that's kind of why he shifted his role from a like a celebrity influencer into more of a lobbyist. And so you'll see him now, we're going to pressure Congress into all this. Well, I'm not impressed, because the same people that they're pressuring in Congress are, I hate to say it, but all these junior people who are just getting in that are like, I'm happy to get put on this committee, like, woo, like, give me a break, man. Like, it's so transparent.
Well, and the other thing is this, the other thing is this effort, like, call your congressman, call your senator.
That's what I mean.
Like, they give a shit.
Cool.
They give a shit about this subject. They don't care. Most of them. They have, unless you're a lobbyist with a big fat bankroll that will get that senator or that congressman's attention, they don't care what you're calling them about. They don't care.
No, you're lucky if you get like a form letter response, like an automated response or anything. Every time I've ever written into a senator about anything, I've just been ignored. So, and I wrote in about Lue Elizondo to Ron Wyden here in Oregon, who's a senator who's on the Senate Intelligence Committee. And I said, Ron, what the hell is going on with this guy? Who is he? Is he legit? Is he crickets, man? He didn't want to say anything, so... But he did have me do his mailing list. Thanks.
So, donate to my campaign, right? You start getting those emails, right?
What more?
Somebody's mentioning Lue attacking you with a sock account. That's another thing that I found extremely suspect, is that the man has gotten, for sure, a few verifiable sock accounts, didn't he? I think he posted something. Man.
He's such an actor.
But he posted something on one of the sock accounts. I think it was the one that he used the most by accident as Lue. So we know that, that he's using sock accounts.
I didn't know that.
The sock accounts will come and defend Lue Elizondo, but we know in at least one case that it's him.
But all these posts are all I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, defending himself on Twitter,
That
kind of games. It's like, what are we, 12 here? I don't understand those kind of games.
That's interesting. Well, that's the thing.
The other thing is the troll accounts. We talked about this. If you say something questioning, or God forbid, even outright derogatory towards Lue on Twitter, all of these brand new accounts on Twitter, they just joined last month, will all start arguing with you about what a great guy he is and how much he's done for disclosure, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I just find it suspect that there's an army of, nameless, faceless, brand new Twitter accounts that will defend him to the death. It's weird. It's strange.
Yeah.
It feels like a psyop to me, but,
or just marketing. I mean, anyone can pay for that kind of support. If you want to drop $2,000 or $3,000 on some Twitter bots, I mean, you can Google it right now and find it. Anyone can do that, and the type of money that this guy's got behind him, he can. He's clearly got money behind him, or he wouldn't be in all of the news outlets that he is. He wouldn't have the sway that he has. You don't have to look too far to see who it is. I'll put a link to Stephen Cambian's live stream over in the video description. And like I said earlier, keep your eyes on the community announcements and the YouTube notifications for updates and notices of other upcoming live stream events. And of course, you can expect to see a few teasers and clips from Who's Lue coming up between now and the release date of the full movie, so stay tuned for those as well. I can't wait to show this work to you guys, but like I said at the beginning, I have still not heard back from Mr. Elizondo about my request for an interview, and I can't wait forever. But I would strongly prefer to include Lue's side of the story here. So if you also want to try to help to get Lue to sit down for an interview with me, head on over to Twitter and sign up for a free account. Then follow me, and when I make posts and use the hashtag Who's Lue, like those tweets and retweet them. Because the only way a guy like Lue is going to respond is under a little bit of pressure, apparently. So let's try to put a little social media pressure on him and see what happens. But if he doesn't respond, that'll just leave it up to us to figure out who's Lue.
As always, this has been Manny at Area 503. And I wish you all the best until we meet again. And I am out of here to continue my search for universal truth.
Just to be clear, because I'm a little unclear on this, if he resigned 3 years before hitting his pension, does that mean he doesn't get a pension then?
Right. So he quit at 23 years and or 22 years, I believe, and could have retired, at 25. But again, I think it was more, and it's interesting. I think it was more about the, retire into obscurity and go fishing and ride my ATVs all day, or become a, UFO Lue Elizondo. And so now he just rather do that. But, when you really look at it, none of it holds up. I mean, none of it. There's nothing that he says that holds up, because the source, like I said in the promo, is always Lue himself, and it comes back to him and his word. So if you trust Lue at his word, cool. But somebody who I've caught in, 3 hours worth of lies, pretty much, I have a hard time taking at their word unless they build trust back up. Like when somebody lies to you, it takes a while till you trust them again, right? Like, isn't that how it goes?